Hello and welcome to Centurion's Corner, and today we are reviewing from the Indiana Jones Adventure series from Hasbro, a build and artifact line here. We've got Indiana Jones from the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, I'm not going to be a full-time mainstream collector of these figures. This is it. I think unless there's going to be sort of other sort of figures that come out that I kind of like, this is going to be like the main figure on my shelf. I just wanted an Indiana Jones, and this guy actually looks incredible, so I can't wait to get him out of the box and actually see him for the first time. So yeah, the actual box looks quite nice. It's quite well presented. You know, I kind of would like maybe a little bit more impact of the figure on there, but it is clean, it is clear, so I do like that. On the side here, we've got Harrison Ford from the Raiders of the Lost Ark all down here doing all his action parts on that side. On this side, we've actually just got the builder arc, so what he comes with, which is just the top two little angel bits at the top there, the wings touching. I think that's what they are, not angels, it's Egyptian, but you know what I mean. And down here on the side there, we've got the other figures that you can get in this collection, and on the back we've got exactly the same picture once again. I wish that was a different picture there on the back. And then down here, what you actually get in the box. So we've got quite a few accessories here, so we've got a lot to go through. So I guess without further ado, let's whip this guy open. So here he is, straight out of the box. There's no presentation, unfortunately. Even when you get the Marvel Legends, they're sort of like centered into the cardboard, but actually this is the front of the actual box as you pull it out. So he's sort of like just there, kind of put in the back, and then we've got the actual accessories down here in this little bag as well. And just on the front you can see actually like the building of the arc there, so if you ever need instructions, I'd imagine these boxes are universal for all the figures. But yeah, as you can see, you can build it right there. So we'll just pull him out for our first impressions. The actual bag as well, it's like a map on there for the Indiana Jones, so yeah, looking pretty cool. And so here he is, looking really nice. Really like that effect on there. We actually got some dry brushing and stuff on his jacket. Looks pretty cool. And yeah, it's all around a nice sculpt. So going to go away, put him through his paces, see what he's capable of, and we'll see you in a mo. So if you think Indy looks great, then don't forget to hit the like button. You can follow me on Instagram as well and subscribe to the channel. And if you're in a place to do so, then you can join the channel and it will be highly much appreciated. So welcome back. We've been away, we've taken his pictures, and what can I say about this figure? Well, straight away, I'm going to put a disclaimer out there. This is going to be a little bit more of a longer review. We're going to go through the actual figure itself, what I feel through the actual accessories, his articulation and his sculpt as usual. We'll do some side comparisons, and also we'll try some head swaps in this as well, so you know what's to come with this review. So first of all, what do I feel about the figure? Well, even though Hasbro have this kind of excessive kind of sort of 6-inch range behind them, we've got Marvel Legends, we've got Black Series, we've got Power Rangers with some of the best articulation out there. Hell, they even done G.I. Joe Classified last year, which was winning Figure of the Year on some YouTube channels and stuff as well. But when they bring out a new 6-inch range, they seem to sort of like want to try some new kind of gimmick, and they try something else here and it doesn't work. The G.I. Joe, they came out of the sort of drop hip hinge, doesn't work, you never use it, and there's a lot of quality issues with it as well. And they've done something here which just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. But we'll go through the articulation and all that as we go through the review itself. But to me, it just feels a little bit kind of, I don't know, maybe bootleggy. It just feels slightly a little bit off, but I just cannot really put my finger on there, to be honest with you. So anyway, it comes with a bunch of accessories here. First of all, it comes with the two little arc pieces that you would actually put on top there, and they're two nice little angels, really done in a nice bit of gold plastic here. We've got the hair that drapes down the side, and they're kind of in this sort of praying position with the actual robes and stuff like bending over their knees, and you can actually see the feet on the back as well. So yeah, really good details on this, really nice. And if you're not going to get the full collection, they could be some sort of ornament pieces on there for a diorama piece, or even just some extra buried treasure that Indiana Jones has picked up. The other sort of gold piece he has is obviously the idol that he picks right up at the beginning there. Again, really nice details on the face, done in the gold. We've got her boobies at the front, and she's also in a crouch position, holding her bum. But hey ho, each to their own. On the back here, or on the top of the hair, you actually see a little bit of texture going in there as well, which is really nice. But again, it's pretty cool, and it's quite a nice size compared to Indiana Jones as well. But unfortunately, that's kind of where the accessories kind of start going a little bit awkward here. So it comes with a pistol as well. Again, I'm not an Indiana Jones kind of expert. I'm not too sure what kind of 6-shooter he uses. But here it just looks really, really small. There's no other paint details on it. It's done in this sort of black plastic, but it's really bendy. Really, really bendy. So as you can see, it just kind of really easy manipulates there with my fingernail. And it goes back into shape, which is fine, but it just looks really small. We can take that out and have a little bit more look at the details. It's actually got like a little diamond kind of part there on the grip. Looking pretty nice, but again, you know, it's just that kind of plastic, which is awful. We can actually slide that into the holster here at the front. That actually has a little sort of flap down this way, and then we have this other little hook that comes over there to keep it in place. I've done it a couple of times. I'm going to give it one attempt here, see if I can get it in. If I can't, I'm just going to give up, but it's really awkward. Just trying to get that into that other hole there, it is quite hard to do so. On these belt as well, we've got this other little harness here, and that's where his other accessory will come in. So we've got the actual bull rip here, and it's in the sort of like coiled position. Really nice details again on there. Unfortunately, it's done in this sort of like reddy browny colour. So it just looks a little bit off. It would be quite nice if it was in a sort of like a really deep brown kind of colour. So that would actually normally would clip onto here, and then we can loop that over as well, so when he's not using the actual whip. But trying to get that kind of little nub kind of pull into that little bit there, it's really hard to do so. And then the other accessory that he has is his whip. Again, done in the actual sort of like same colouring as the other whip on there. Details are really nice, but again, it's done in that kind of reddy, kind of brown kind of colour, and it goes all the way up, and it's even got the extra part at the top there for the actual whipping cane there. So yeah, not too bad. I mean, it's quite nice to have the whip and all these other accessories, but again, I kind of wish that they had a little bit of a wash on there, or at least a different colour, that's for sure. So now we actually go into his alternative hand. So on here we actually got like the pistol hand on here. With this one, we got this one also without the actual sort of like pistol finger, and that's the one to hold his whip. But the downside, this is one of the downsides I think on the articulation here, it has no other kind of forms here. So they actually are on a peg system, which is this way around, which is different to like the Marvel Legends, which is normally on a kind of like a thicker hinge, you know, and you actually got the hinge on there as well. So you've got up and down movement, or sometimes left and right movement, and obviously the rotation there. But when it comes to this one, it just kind of fits onto this little nub, and you think, oh yeah, it's got ball joint hinge. No, because it's so into the actual sleeve itself, there's literally no movement there at all, apart from rotation. So you can't even make an expression or anything there, because his hands were just literally, you can see that it's just literally very minor movement there. And that kind of goes for even this hand here, which is a little bit open, but even just moving it up and down, there's nothing. And going that way as well, there's nothing there. We just got the rotation. So for me, if they got all this extensive kind of sort of like look at these accessory parts and how other hands work, this didn't work. They needed to change this right at the beginning and go back to what they know with the peg system. For me, yeah, it's really annoying. So with his actual hands as well, he comes with a few other ones here. So we've got some punching fists on there, so the details are quite nice. Got the fingernails and whatnot, and then it also has another sort of open expression hand again for his left hand. So it's very similar, but this one I guess is kind of like an expressionish hand, and this one would be to hold his bullwhip when it's still in the coiled position. And then obviously we've got the other sort of trigger finger, which we've already gone through on there. So with that, I think his accessories, yes, the hands are all part of the articulation as well. So for me, I guess the accessories, we have got a lot there, and it is kind of nice that we have got this lot. So I will give it a nice tick for that. I think the accessories that we do have is the right amount. It's just the way that it's kind of portrayed across. So I guess with that we can, I guess the other accessory that he does have, which he can't really take off unless you take off his jacket, is his little satchel here as well, but we'll go through that as we go through the sculpt itself. So articulation wise, this guy can turn left, he can turn right, he can look down and look up. We've got quite a lot of neck movement in there, as you can see. There's nothing really hindering, so you can look up this sort of far and look down. We have got lower neck movement down here, but as you can see, there's just look at that sort of crease there in the back of that sort of shirt. If I push forward, that's literally all the movement you're going to get in that lower movement of that neck. So yeah, not particularly great. Arm wise, full rotation around up here, and it comes up to this far as well. We have got a butterfly joint in that arm as well, which is quite nice. It's done in the same colour as the jacket. Full rotation around at the elbow here on a single elbow joint that comes up more than 90. Rotation at the wrist, obviously we already said, but there's not really any kind of other movement there. Waist, he can turn left and right. He can sort of crunch forward, not much, and he can go back this far. Leg wise, comes up this way, forward, back, upper thigh rotation here. We've got rotation at the knee as well, and then we've got a single knee joint up to this part, obviously all pinless all the way through, and then we've got the rocket and the pivot at the ankle. So articulation, yeah, it's kind of there, but I just feel like in a way I'm kind of like, well, it might break up the aesthetic look if we had anything else. So I'm just going to bring over Spirit here from the G.I. Joe line. Again, yes, he's a little bit more muscle bound than G.I. Joe, than Indiana, but we have this kind of nice ab crunch in here. It doesn't really break away from the figure at all. And I can see that they're going for the more aesthetic look. You know, I think Indiana Jones is quite nice to put on the shelf, but as an action figure, and we got all these other lines coming through now, even Star Wars has started to have this ab crunches now, that I just feel like it's kind of lacking, and especially in the hand movement. Doing sort of toy photography, you want some expression in the hands, and not being able to move it at all, it's just a big letdown, really. So for me, the articulation is going to get an X for me, unfortunately. So really, we can go for this guy. We can actually go through his sculpt. And the sculpt for this guy is quite nice, to be honest. It is quite cool. So with the hat, we've got his little nice, so we've got the dent at the top and around here. We've actually got this extra colour trim coming around on the outside, and obviously on his sort of like, I don't know what you call it, ribbon part around on the hat there, not the leather part. But so it's kind of nice that we've got the two transitions of brown, and then we've got that kind of wear and tear around on it. On the back here, I've actually got this little extra part. I'm not too sure if that's supposed to be his hat or it was just an injection mould. I'm not 100% sure. Looking at the actual face of him, it's an okay kind of look of Harrison Ford, I think. He's kind of always got this kind of like looking up kind of expression on there, so he's always sort of looking up above his hat, so he always looks a little bit weird, to be honest. The hat isn't removable, unfortunately, but we've got this nice 5 o'clock shadow just underneath there. From the front, I don't think it kind of does him justice, or on this side, but this way around, yes, it looks like Harrison Ford in a weird way. On the jacket, I really like this kind of brushing that they got over the top there. Nice dark brown with this kind of weathering effect all over, which is kind of what Black Series used to have on their stuff. And it looks really nice all the way down on that side and this side. And we've got the scuffs on the back and still a little bit down here as well. On the actual satchel itself, so it's actually got the silver little naps on there. I think like little, it's got a little bit of metallic anyway, if it's silver or gold, not too sure, which is quite nice. And then it goes all the way up around his back, and obviously the buckle is painted as well, which is good. Coming down to the belt, or actually we've got his shirt underneath, you can see all the wrinkles and stuff in the right places, but no weathering on there whatsoever. Got two sort of like colours here on the belt. The brown they've used isn't too bad, to be honest. It's kind of a nice sort of like dark brown leather. Got the silver, and again we've got a gold buckle on here. Around on the back, it's just simple leather all around, and then you go down to his pants. Looking really nice, got all the wrinkles in the right places, going down to the bottom of his trousers as well, and you can see all that kind of sort of like weathering marks as well over his shoes as well. So for me, I think the sculpt and everything does really work. I think it looks really good for him, and yeah, it's definitely one of the better parts of the figures for me, for sure. So with that, we can actually do some size comparisons here. So we had Spirit already, so we can actually put these guys next to each other for some black 6-inch lines. So we've got Spider-Man, Spirit, and then we can actually bring in Han Solo himself from ESB, and you see these can actually all fit in really nicely. Really nice sort of size comparisons And then the last one that we do collect on the channel is some Power Rangers as well. So yeah, straight away it does blend in well with all the 6-inch ranges, which is really, really nice. So I guess with that, we can actually take off these guys. We can leave in ESB Han Solo, or we can bring in the Han Solo from Return of the Jedi as well. And then I have got a couple customs, but this guy actually shares the face, same face as the Return of the Jedi guy here. And this one here is my custom Stormtrooper, which is the same head as the ESB as well. So just comparing the heads here with the Han Solo sculpt, Harrison Ford, should I say. I think, you know, I used to think this one was probably one of the better ones, but now looking at this guy, I kind of think that he looks better. So yeah, and then we can bring in this one, which I thought was the pinnacle one at first. So they have improved over the years, as you can see. So let's get this into focus if it wants to focus on those three there. So yeah, comment down below which one you think is the best there. So I've also been asked as well, can we do some head swaps? Obviously the skin color there, Indy is quite tanned, and these guys probably won't actually look quite good. But what I'll do now, I'll go away, do some head swaps, and then we come back for the actual main end of the review. So taking a look at these head sculpts as well. So we can look at the sort of Return of the Jedi one here. Again, probably the best one, looking a bit like Harrison Ford here. And this can actually just pop onto the actual ball joint. And as you can see there, there's actually a kind of a difference there in his skin complexion. But it's not too bad, to be honest. You know, from a distance, it's not too bad. There is a lot of kind of movement there, so you would need to do a bit of modification there to it. But yeah, I guess it kind of can work. I guess with the sort of rugged, sort of like scrawny hair on there, it could work at a sort of like a choice there, but obviously just that neckline kind of colour in there. So maybe a little bit of a sort of dark wash, a bit of a beard on there, it might blend it in. We can actually take this one off, and then we can look at this one here, but it doesn't fit on. You would need to modify this a little bit more. And I didn't want to put the ball joint on there and get it all kind of stuck in there, but just giving you kind of hindsight there. Again, it could kind of work, but I do think the other sculpt is a better looking sculpt compared to this one. But you know, it's entirely up to you or what you have at your disposal. And with that, it's just a normal ball joint on there that actually can plug onto his head quite easily, actually, just like so. So, is this a good Indiana Jones figure? Yes. Is it the best kind of figure out there that Hasbro could have made? Absolutely not. We've got great accessories here. We've got all these extra little bits and stuff. It could have been actually better executed, that's for sure. Better articulation, and some of the actual accessories could have a bit more attention to detail like the rest of the figure. So for me, unfortunately, it's definitely not a figure of the year. But for me, I guess it's kind of like maybe a silver. It could have been better. It could have been a hell of a lot better out there, but unfortunately it just doesn't really hit the mark. But each to their own. You know, I'm just reviewing it as a figure. I love Indiana Jones. I love to have an Indiana Jones on my shelf, and that's what I got. But as an action figure, compared to all the other sort of carnations that sort of Hasbro do bring out, especially like G.I. Joe or these guys. And I know he's not supposed to be fully articulate and stuff like that, but neither are the Joes, but yet they have more articulation and stuff here, and especially in those hands as well. I think that was a really bad decision from Hasbro. But thank you so much for joining me on this one. Don't forget to comment down below, subscribe, ding that bell. You can also join the channel now, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.